What's up? Cole Grace here. I'm going to do a video today about authenticity. Had a little bit of a kind of, I don't know, like an unlock in mental health, and it all ties back to, beliefs and some of the things that I talk about a lot. But in authenticity, has to start with like self-love and self-acceptance. And when you have these parts of yourself that, you only show people, like I was a social chameleon, and you don't have to show people every part of yourself, but I would reject parts of my own self that I didn't like from the past, like when I was younger and things that I did, and very self-critical. So let's show you. I'm bald. I don't know if you know this. I'm bald. I can't see. I'm blind, so I got glasses now. I have four fingers on this hand, so there. This left arm doesn't straighten, so it's shorter, and it does that little hook thing there. So yeah, that's me, but none of that defines me. So, it you can't. I'm not saying you can like deny reality. Um, I have four fingers, but how I interpret reality is my choice. If somebody says something and tries to make fun of it, it's my interpretation. Is that am I less than because I have four fingers? I'm not less capable. I played like wide receiver in high school, football. I played basketball and all kinds of things. I was in the military. It doesn't limit me whatsoever. And it doesn't define me at all. And the only thing that it's a issue is if I'm insecure about it and I make it an issue. Otherwise, people don't normally even notice. And then when they do, if I'm not insecure about it, they're just like curious. And it used to be I was pretty insecure, and I worked with bombs in Iraq, so people always want to know, did you lose your finger in Iraq? And it's not that cool of a story. I didn't. But sometimes my ego would be like, yeah, and that was when I was younger. I don't do that anymore, but the story is I was born without a bone in my finger, and as my hand grew, the finger didn't grow and I couldn't move it. So it was more of a hindrance to have it. And when I was 8 years old, I had it removed. So yeah, I was made fun of and kids made fun of it, and it was something that I was insecure about when I was younger, but I got over that. Also, when I got back from Iraq, I had shaved my head before I went to Iraq. And then when I got back from Iraq, I tried to grow it back out and I looked like a fucking chia pet. But yeah, it was just like little spots and a little running away right here, a little receding, and a patch back here. I was like, man, that's not good. So I kept shaving it. And, I was going to the bars at that time. And I remember specifically, how girls would take somebody's hat, a guy's hat, and put it on at the bar. Well, a girl did that. She was hot, and she took my hat and was about to put it on and was like, ew, and put it back on. And I was like, crushed. So that began my hat obsession. But now it's more of that's one of the only accessories that I have. So I like to wear a hat. So yeah, with authenticity though, it's unlocked so much of just there's so much pressure that I put on myself, and I would try to be the person that I thought other people wanted me to be. And then sometimes you go into situations with these beliefs of like I'm less than, or I'm not worthy, or if people knew the real me, they wouldn't like me, so they only like the fake me, and this self-hatred type thing. There's a quote from somebody who's like, I could never love somebody who could love somebody like me, or something like that. And so you have to be very careful of these beliefs of how you think about yourself, because how you think about yourself is how other people are going to think about you. How you treat yourself is how other people are going to treat you. If you don't take care of yourself, other people aren't going to take care of you. And I've found myself in situations where I'm the nice guy and I'm constantly trying to help other people and take care of other people, and I'm not taking care of myself. And then you're like in the situation where like I help everybody and nobody ever helps me, and da 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 da. But it has a lot to do with how you feel about yourself, and how you think about yourself. And so does like even being attractive. Like, yeah, there's physical features that you're not going to be able to just be like, well, that's not true. I don't have four fingers. I'm not bald. But you can still not let that be a problem to you. If it's not a problem to you, it's not going to be a problem to others. And that's usually That's what the unlock that I found is that by me being more accepting of myself and being more loving of myself, other people treat me way better than before. It's not like people treated me bad, but I would allow bad behavior because I was insecure about like maybe losing somebody or not being able to like be friends or be around that person anymore because I said something. And that's not the case. Usually, if I say something, it's respected. And if it's not, then that person shouldn't be in my life anyways. So it's way better to have this abundance mentality where I'm not feeling scarcity and like I can't find, you know, other friends or like that people won't like me. I mean, any of these beliefs are very limiting and they play out into reality. How you interpret your reality is like a major part of mental health. And if you have a negative interpretation of your reality, then it's, you know, it's going to be negative. If you can positively interpret your reality or, you know, have a more centered identity of who you are, you know, like who I am as a person. That's why I write the mission statement out. And that's why I do positive affirmations. And is to remind myself, especially in the areas that I'm insecure, that that's not true and that I don't have to believe that. And in doing so, it's unlocked authenticity for me where I've been able to be my true self. I've been able to say no to things that I don't really want to do or, you know, do things that I do want to do. And I've also been able to, I do, you know, and it's not isolation. I want to be social. So I also have to force myself to be more social because I want to be. And even though I don't feel like it all the time, once I do it, I'm like, all right, that's good. And I do have a social battery. Like I can only do so much before I'm like, all right, I need to go and be by myself for a little bit. But overall, I find myself being more real than trying to like adapt to the room. I used to be really quiet when I'd first meet people, and then I could like seriously dial in exactly how to like take over the room if I wanted to, as far as like joking and da 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 and be the center of attention or the center of the party if I wanted to. And sometimes if I wanted to, I could just go out and do that. But then if I didn't want to, I'm more chill and laid back. And so like I was kind of putting on a show and like I know people like this version where I could freestyle or tell jokes and da 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 and people would like it. And I would just do it like, ah, dance, look at me, you know, to get validation. And you know, I don't do that anymore. I have fun. I still do karaoke and stuff and but I don't like lean on that as a crutch of like to make people like me. I do it because I want to do it because I have fun doing it. And I used to do it because I felt like I had to do it to impress people. And now it's like, you know, I'm not trying to impress, I'm just expressing myself. And so that's so much better of a place to come from. I remember being in my head, I remember being at the bar sometimes and by myself and feeling like a nerd because I was by myself. So I would like fake phone conversations and like pretend like I was texting somebody or something. Like everybody's looking at, nobody's paying attention, nobody gives a shit. And like, I don't know, I just had these weird things. I would lie sometimes about things that, oh yeah, yeah, I know that. And it's like, I have no idea. My friend Adam Pierce used to call me out on that all the time. He's like, you don't know. I'm like, shut up. But for whatever reason, just trying to fit in and like being afraid to break rapport, like somebody wouldn't like me. And I would rather have one person really like me than like 10 people be like, yeah, he's all right. He's not a bad guy, you know? And if I'm being myself, you know, like I'm more about making genuine connections and I'm not out there being purposely being like obstinate or trying to like constantly disagree, be disagreeable. I'm just being honest and having an opinion, and I'm not being doing it in a mean way either. Most of the time, it's in a joking way. I'm not very serious. I don't get into like, especially with strangers, like conversations that are going to make me angry. They don't make me angry anymore. I'm just like, okay, well, have a good one. You know, like I don't have to let myself get angry anymore. That was part of the other video about getting angry. I'm starting to break my addiction to anger, and I'm starting to have an addiction to peace. And I like that a lot better. Once I start to realize that I do have a choice, and it's so much more powerful to maintain my emotional stability and maintain my peace, even when somebody else is trying to shake me or rock me or saying something that I don't agree with and that I don't believe. And I don't have everybody believe and agree with me. So it's like, okay, well, you can believe that, and I don't have to convince you that you're wrong and I'm right. That's fine. And like, if you have a good point and you're able to talk to me, I've changed my mind on things. It's not I'm not attached to my beliefs. Like my ego used to be attached to like being right. And even if I was wrong, it didn't want to be wrong. It's like, well, if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. It's fine. I'm not like locked into this belief where it's like, no, it's going to shatter my ego if this isn't correct, and I've been living my life under this context that this is true and it's not. What, okay, I'd rather change and live by the truth than protect my ego. But that's a new version of me, because before my ego was like, nah, nah, fam, let's argue. Nope, we got to tell this person why we're superior, and we have to get them to agree and align with what I believe. But it's so much more peaceful not being like that, and protecting my peace, protecting my energy, not engaging with those types of conversations beyond, the initial, okay, well, I shut it down. Like, I'm not going to talk about that. And then I just don't. And it's amazing. I love it. And and people don't hate me. Um, they respect me. It's fine. And if you do hate me, that's fine too. I don't care. Because I'm not doing anything malicious, and I'm not doing anything to make you hate me. So if you hate me, that's on you. And you can not like me. That's fine. Um, no, I don't like everybody. Everybody's not going to like me, but I'm going to be myself. And I'm not also, another thing I want to clear up is like calibrating your personality based on situations like being in work, or, using decorum, being in the military setting and other places. Yeah, there's, decorum, and you can't just be like, well, I'm just being myself, and and just, break the rules of that setting just in the name of being authentic. So I'm not saying that. There's a work version of Cole, and there's a hanging out with the guys version of Cole, and then there's a hanging out with family version of Cole. So, but it's all me. It's just there's little parts that I'm not going to express the same. I'm not going to cuss in front of the kids, you know what I mean, or at work, in meetings. And so at work I still cuss, but not at meetings. And I'm also, what I'm saying is, don't like deny parts of yourself and like be ashamed of parts of yourself. That's the thing. And I've accepted those pieces from my past. It doesn't mean that I justify them or think that it was a right thing to do. And I'm like, oh, it's okay that you did that. It's fine because of this situation, and, whatever. It's okay that you did that. They deserved it. I'm not justifying my actions, and I'm not, going back and saying that it was okay for those the way that I acted, but I am understanding why I acted that way. I'm understanding why my parents acted the way they acted and why certain things happened, and I'm forgiving, and I am accepting, and that has been a huge part. It's like it's the shadow parts of yourself, because I used to have a lot of self-hatred towards my younger self and towards the way that I responded to trauma. And that's kind of crappy, really crappy. And it hurt my self-esteem, and it hurt me being authentic. And so going back and, you know, kind of, I did inner child work. So I'm going back and like kind of talking to my younger self, and expressing how much I love him, and that it's okay for what happened. And a lot of times, like, trauma comes up from our childhood, and that's like our inner child being like, hey, I need help. And then a lot of times we're like, go away, get out of here. You're annoying. So I've been trying to look into why I'm having those feelings, and, you know, they a lot of times come from parts of myself that I rejected. And if I reject those parts of myself, other people are going to subconsciously, they're not even going to know, they're just going to feel the energy when I feel that way, when I feel less than, when I feel um, insecure. That comes out in the way that I act, in the way that I am around people. So there's been times where, like, around my friends, and we're good friends, I'm completely myself. But then I used to get around like a beautiful woman, and I'd be like, super nice guy or something, and, inauthentic. And that's immediately like detected. And so it might not be understood, like, in your conscious thought that, oh, this person's insecure, but you feel it and you just understand something's off. And so by, I don't know, being more authentic and more accepting of the pieces of myself that I used to have shame for and I used to not like, and the interpretations like four fingers, bald, all the things that are wrong with me, and just in that sentence thinking that it's something wrong with me. It's not. It's not at all. And so no matter what it is, weight or anything like that, it's no, you're not going to be able to be like, well, I'm not overweight. You are. But the way that you interpret that, is that a problem? Are you healthy? Are you, trying to um, be healthy, and you're overweight? That's fine. And are you accepting of it? Are you okay with it? Um, that is where the self-love and the self-acceptance needs to come into play. And you're not going to change reality, but you're going to change the way you interpret reality, and that is going to change your reality. It's a weird concept, but it's true. And I've noticed that the way that if I think I love myself and I'm a great person, I'm a good person to be around, I don't try to hurt people, I'm a really good person, and I go out into the world, people feel that. If I go out into the world thinking people aren't going to like me because I suck, and because if they knew the real me, they would hate me, and this, that, the other, and I'm just putting on an act, then people are going to feel that too, and they're not going to like you. So, from the Four Fingered Man, um, be yourself, be proud of yourself. And in order to do that, sometimes you might have to make some changes. You might have to put a mission statement out. You might have to find a purpose, and you might have to start doing some things so that you can be proud of yourself. But that's fine. Do that, and look at what you're doing. I'm going to work. I'm, paying the bills. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And give yourself credit for what you are doing, and don't worry so much about what other people think, and try not to worry so much about holding on to your beliefs and being correct. Worry about the truth more than about being correct. All right, add on. Another thing that these limiting beliefs lead to, is self-sabotage. So if you go out with the belief that people aren't going to like you, then you're going to elicit that reaction from people, because you're going to interact with them as if they already don't like you. And by interacting with people that way, with your subconscious beliefs, it like elicits the insecurities that you have, and your brain likes to be right also, so it looks to prove your beliefs correct. If you believe that you have bad luck, you're going to filter your reality for situations that you have bad luck, so that your brain will be giving examples to validate your belief. And, self-sabotage comes into play as if I'm not worthy. And so when you get into a situation, like, let's say, where you're about to be promoted or success or something like that, you might find a way to not be successful in that moment. You might find a way to always ruin that moment. Or even if you are able to achieve it, then you don't enjoy it because you don't feel deserving of it. And so these beliefs really are limiting, and you need to watch and monitor the internal world especially if it's negative. If you have these, find yourself saying, I have bad luck, nobody likes me, I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, then you're going to get into relationships and you're going to push people away who love you because you don't feel lovable. And it's incongruent with your beliefs. So watch and monitor your beliefs and be authentic. Be yourself. Don't try to. That's why we're inauthentic a lot of times, is because of these subconscious beliefs, and we have these limiting negative beliefs that make us act in ways that aren't authentic to ourselves, because we think it's how we're going to get acceptance, validation, and other things. So, and within authenticity, you're working on these limiting beliefs to unlock authenticity, but it's also going to combat some self-sabotage things as well. All right, that's the end of the video. Love you guys.